And welcome back, everyone, to Box Office Report. Today on the 30th, it's the 29th of September, 30th tomorrow, September 2024. Did not get the box office right. We had one sneak in there. Coming in number one, not surprisingly, is The Wild Robot with $35 million. Beetlejuice made another $16 million. I keep telling you, and I'll talk about it more in a little bit, that the closer we get now we're into the Halloween season, I think it's going to slow down the downward trajectory of this film. Transformers 1 made $9.3 million, dropping 62.2%. We're going to have to talk about that. Devara Part 1 debuted at $5.6 million. See, this is the one where it snuck in. I knew nothing about it. Most of these films never really make it into the top. That's not true. All the time. They don't usually make it in the top 5 or make a big enough number to make a splash. But to be fair, the box office is kind of in the lower end of what's the best word to put it? It's on the downbeat right now. It's going to pick up with this next weekend, and then I think it'll keep going and then pick up for the remainder of the year. But right now we're in the kind of the lull. Since August, it's been in a bit of a lull box office. Beetlejuice is kind of outlier. And number 5, Speak No Evil made at $4.3 million. The Wild Robot. Let's talk about The Wild Robot. I looked it up. It's got about a $78 million budget. You factor in probably about $50 million in production. Marketing, that's the word I was looking for. You think about $50 million in marketing. So you're looking at a film on $128 for a budget. That's not bad. Honestly, that's not bad at all. Most films really. So that means you're looking at a film that's probably got to hit somewhere in the neighborhood of 190-ish to break even, something along that, because it's basically 130. So if it hits 200, that's really what your goal is, 200 million. And the reviews are out, and it's got fantastic reviews. My review for it's up. I adored this film. It was such a lovely film. 35, though, is, I think, a little lower than what the projections were saying. It's not Transformers bad, though. Like, Transformers didn't even debut on, $24 million or $25 million. That's not good for Transformers, and that's against a $75 million budget, a relatively small budget. Here, though, we have $35 million against, a $78 million budget. What you get, the cardinal rule is try to open with about half your budget. Well, that's not quite there, but it's pretty much there. I mean, you're talking about a film that more or less actually had to open up on about 38 to basically qualify for that, if I'm not mistaken. No, 39. Another $4 million would have gotten it to the halfway mark, basically. But this is not the worst start. Is it not as good of a start as it could have been? Yeah, it's not as good as it could have been. It's got a worldwide right now of 53, which is good. Nothing wrong with that. I guess the question is, since we're going to talk about Transformers a little bit, why is animation struggling a little bit right now? Because I think we can safely say animation is struggling a bit right now. We had these two wonderful films with Inside Out 2. Well, wonderful. We had Inside Out 2, which I still think is the best animated film of the year, being the highest grossing film of the year. You had Despicable Me 4 quietly cross over $950 million. And, no, we didn't have Into the Spider-Verse. That was last year. I was almost combining the two. I think there's been one or two other minor animated hits this year. But, Garfield was a surprise little hit. So why all of a sudden are the animated films not quite getting the crowds they normally would? What do we think is the answer here? I think it's a couple answers. One is it's the time of year. It's September. September is usually kind of it's when we're getting more into award season. They're also two new IPs. One is a completely new IP. It exists as a book, but as a film, it's a new IP. And one is a damaged IP with Transformers. But also when it comes to the time of year, the kids are back in school. They don't have the free time anymore to be going to the movies like they did for Inside Out 2 or Despicable Me 4. So I think that's another big problem. Because both of these films have wonderful reviews. They have wonderful reviews. But unfortunately, it's just not attracting the audiences that they should. So my question, I guess, is it just the fact that there's not it's a different time of year now, the kids aren't going to the movies as much? Or is there something else to it? At least when it comes to, say, like Transformers. With Transformers, I know for a fact there was other factors to that. But I don't know about The Wild Robot, to be frank. Maybe it just didn't attract people the same way other films should have. Kung Fu Panda, I forgot Kung Fu Panda 4. That was another good film that came out this year that was animated and made over like $500 million. So it's certainly not the fact they're animated. I think I saw someone comment that it's because they were animated. Maybe not, maybe in my video or maybe somewhere else. I'm like, that's not the reason. It's not that the reason is because they're animated. There is a highest grossing film of the year, and I would argue beg to differ that. Still, but Beetlejuice, let's talk about something that is doing well. Beetlejuice Manor, $16,373 million. Look, on a $100 million, $60 million marketing budget, this film made its money back a while ago. It's now just printing cash. And good for it. I think Tim Burton came out and said, it took me 30 years to do another one because I'm going to be 100 by the time we get to do another one. But look, there's conversations about them maybe doing a third one. It will not take anywhere near as long to do the third one. So, look, I'm not saying we'll get a third one, but these numbers speak. It's made. How much money has it made? It's made, roughly speaking, like $80 million plus. It'll probably run out with a $100 million profit, which is enough to fund another Beetlejuice movie or something else of equivalent price. So, absolutely. It's a success. Could have made more, probably. But is it a success? 100 freaking percent it's a success. And look, it's still making money. Like I said, we're now going into October. So while it's still going to be losing screens day to day, or week to week, it is still going to be losing money week to week, except for maybe like that last week in October where it maybe gets a bump because of the holiday. It's still a movie that's going to be able to reap in what Halloween spookiness vibes are coming off of the month and use it to its effect. So I fully believe it'll cross 400. No issue with that. Not that it needs to, but it's going to be adding on to the pie. Transformers 1, $9.3 million, dropping 62%. That's not good. It's only now just getting to its production budgeted amount. This is not a good number. The question is, what happened? It's clearly not going to, unless it's going to get like a big second wind in the international market, which anything is possible. What went wrong here? And I harken back to what we said last week, because the reviews and the audience reviews are not the problem. Let's get the Rotten Tomatoes up here real quick. The reviews and how people are responding to the movie is not the problem. It's not. Let's see here. Come on. Okay, wake up. Why'd you put it up on a demo? Let's see here. All right. 89% of the critics liked it, and 98% of the audience liked it. I mean, not as good as 98 from Wild Road, but it's still, the point is, the majority of people, at minimum, like this film. Some of them loved it. So why aren't people going back to see it? Why isn't word of mouth traveling around? Again, we got to go with the idea that there aren't as many kids available to go see movies right now as there normally would be. So that's a factor. It's not the biggest one, I think. I think the Transformers property is just irreparably damaged right now. It really is. Hell, even their last one, which was a solid film, not the best movie in the world, but a solid film by Transformer standards. I liked it. It still didn't cross like 500 million. Bumblebee didn't cross 500 million. And both those films, Bumblebee was actually really good. I think the Transformers brand is damaged, and I don't think we're going to be able to bring it back for a little while. They tried. And it sucks that when they make a good movie, people have now lost interest. And I heard someone put it best that Transformers just might not be as cool as it once was for the general public. There was a time Transformers was everywhere. Michael Bay brought him back. And then Michael Bay kept bringing him back. And then Michael Bay kept bringing him back. And eventually the audience caught on to this is dumb. Like, yeah, the action's cool and it looks cool, but this is dumb. And unfortunately, yeah, I think we're past the Transformers heyday. We really are. Now, the Transformers, like any other fad, can come back. It's not like it's going to be just completely and utterly lost to time. But right now, I think we need a good 5 some odd years without the Transformers before we try to bring them back. because it's clear audience just isn't there for it anymore. Devara Part 1. I have no idea. Okay. An epic action saga set against coastal lands, which briefs about ripboarding, emotionally charged incidents of the periodic timeline. What? Also comprises the titular protagonist being the rescuer of deprived and fear to evildoers. Grammar, people. This, look, man, let me try reading that again. Without the voice. An epic action saga set against coastal lands, which briefs about rip-roaring, emotional charged incidents in the periodic timeline. Also comprises the titular protagonist being the rescuer of the deprived and fear to evildoers. Okay, whoever wrote this, you really need to work on your grammar. Let me see if I could reshape this sentence a bit here. An epic action saga set against coastal lands, which briefs about. See that right there? It's the which briefs is technically right, but it just does not roll well when you're reading it out loud. Which tells about the rip-roaring, emotionally charged incidents in the periodic timeline, comprising and telling the story of the titular protagonist being the rescuer of the deprived and the fear to evildoers, or actually, I would even say not to evildoers, but emotion. I'd say being the rescuer to the deprived and fear. And fear to the evil, and fear to evil. I guess fear to evil always works after all. Point being, that is a word soup, unfortunately. And by the way, periods can be your friend. You can actually have a description. Let me see here. Speak no evil here, real quick. Okay, no, I'm sure one of these can have 2 sentences in the description. But yeah, okay, I don't know anything about the films are good for opening on 5.6, I guess. Speak No Evil, 57.7 million, man, or 4 some odd million this week. It's actually doing pretty okay. It's, what's the best way to put it? It's not at the profitable range yet, as far as I can tell. I would imagine at a $15 million budget, maybe 20 in marketing or 25, you're looking at 40. It's probably about to break even now. Or maybe I'm wrong. I'd have to, again, by the end of the year, I'll look up to see if I can find the actual marketing budget. But let's move on to something that, Megalopolis debuted with $4 million. Now, let's see if there is any reviews for Megalopolis coming on here at all. I do not see it. I'm also not, frankly, surprised. I'm not surprised I don't see Megalopolis reviews. Apparently, this was Coppola's vanity project. Very much so. And Ryan heard it's not god awful. It's just so up its own ass. It's like the base concept. Actually, here we go. The city of New Rome, which is essentially kind of like a stand-in for New York, is the main conflict between Caesar Catalina, a brilliant artist in favor of a utopian future, which is Adam Driver, and the greedy mayor Franklin Cicero, who's Giancarlo Esposito. Between them is Julia Sierra, her loyalty divided between her father and her beloved. And some of the ideas, from what I understand, are really cool. The idea that Adam Driver finds a new element and wants to bring people into a new way of thinking and, try to make a new utopia. And it's about idea. And you literally have people like Adam Driver and Giancarlo representing literally they are the physical representation of ideologies. You have aspirations and wanting to think words here. Aspirations and advancement versus traditionalism. And you have people who represent the idea of communism or capitalism or socialism or imperialism. You have all these people who actually represent ideas, and that's not a bad concept. It really isn't. Apparently, though, it's the first half of the film or the first third is actually not bad at all. It's then you get into the final 2/3 where it's what happened here? What happened? And apparently he had to sell one of his villas. Is it villas or his wineries or something like that to finance this film? This film's not cheap to make. It is what it is. That's all I can say at this point. It is what it is. Deadpool Wolverine, in its 10th week, is still in the top 10. Still made $2.6 million. Now it's done its run pretty much. You're getting a little bit of sprinkles on the Sunday before the cherry's done, and there's not much else for it to make. It's not crossing another record unless it's got one more international bump to happen where suddenly I check in next week, it's actually at $1.4 billion. But unless that happens, which I severely doubt it will, it's done its run. It's not crossing any more records. It doesn't need to, though. It did everything it had to. It made a butt ton of money. It got everyone at least curious about the next parts of the phases of the next movies coming in the MCU line. Agatha is helping that out a lot, too. Agatha's really good right now, so, it is what it is. My Old Ass, $2.2 million. I saw a trailer for this. It's an interesting concept. I will say, whoever is playing the young Aubrey Plaza does not look like what I think young Aubrey Plaza would look like. A mushroom trip brings free-spirited Elliot face-to-face with her 39-year-old self, but when Elliot's old ass delivers warnings to her younger self, Elliot realizes she has to rethink everything about her family life and love. The problem, again, I've seen the trailer, not trailer, but the poster for them. I'm like, what? Okay, this is interesting. If you could go back and talk to your younger self, what would you do? Like, I'm going to be 35 this year. What would I tell my younger self? Invest in GameStop during the pandemic. I tell him that. Beyond that, though, is there warnings I would give him? I can think of one or two things I would definitely tell him. But here's the problem, though. If you are like me and you're comfortable with who you've become at this point in your life, do you run the risk of not becoming that person anymore? You might make some positive change financially for yourself, or you might avoid that bad date you had, or you might avoid having to break up with your girlfriend or boyfriend or significant other. You might avoid having to, do something you don't want to do. But those experiences are what shape you as a person. So would you really want to do that, knowing that who you're going to become, if you actually are okay with who you become? Would you really tell your younger self that? It's one thing if you're at a point in your life where you hate who you are. That's one thing entirely. But I don't know if I've gotten the impression that's what's happening in that movie. I don't know. The Substance, $1.8 million. It's going along. It's a very small film, but hey, made over $10 million. Howl's Moving Castle in a re-release made $1.6 million. It's no Coraline, that's for certain. I Am I Racist? A little over $1 million, made $11 million. I've said my piece on that. Vindicating Trump. Character assassinations, political assassinations, legal assassinations, an actual assassination attempt. 2. So they will try anything to stop Trump. We can't let them. Yeah, we can. I'm not saying let the people kill him. No, I'm not saying that. But stop him? Yeah, we can let them stop him. If you need, I think I've said it. At this point, if you watch me long enough, you know where my political kind of views lie. But no, yeah, we can stop him. The Forge, $730,000. I mean, $29 million on a $6 million budget. It barely probably had $10 million of marketing. It made money. It actually made some money. Good for it. Everything else is very minor at this point. Ends With Us is pretty much done its run. $340 million. Good for it. On a $25 million budget. Hell yeah, good for it. Alien Romulus, $342 million. Still barely ahead of it. Despicable Me 4, I said, made over $950 million. Over $953 to be precise. It's never hitting $1 billion, but it's basically made Oppenheimer numbers. Twisters, amazingly, is still around. Did you at least hit 370? No! Oh my god, it still hasn't. Well, it will hit 370. I still got to find out near the end of the year what the actual budget on that is. Inside Out 2, did you, nope, you're done. You had one minor boost and that was it. And I mean minor. The Killer's Game, and only its third week, man. Holy crap. I did not hate The Killer's Game. I thought it was a fun little, it was not good, but it was a fun little movie. Man, that sucks for them. Anyway, I digress. So coming out this week, the only 2 really big releases we have are Monster Summer, which I've seen one trailer for in the theater. I saw the trailer online and I liked the trailer. And obviously Joker. I don't think any of us are going to argue Joker will be number 1. I don't know what it's tracking for. I think it's 70 some odd million, which is a good opening. It's not as big as the original, but it's a good opening. After that, I would put Wild Robot at number 2. I'd actually even put Beetlejuice at number 3 because I just don't know how many people know Monster Summer is coming out. I'll try to do both this week. I haven't done a twofer in a while, so I'll try to do monster because I am curious about that, especially because we're in the Halloween season. But after that, I'll say Monster Summer, and oh man, Lord. I guess based on these numbers, I'll still say Transformers 1. Don't quote me on that one. I mean, you can quote me, but don't hold me to that. I'm not Nostradamus here. But yeah, that's my predictions. What do you got? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. See you next time.